Sometimes, unfortunately, in boating, you just have bad days, just like some of the things we're going to see in this week's episode of Boating News of the Week. Our first story to make the boating news this week is going to take us over to New South Wales, where this was the scene just a little over a week ago when Graham Martin and his family were standing on the edge of the shore near the Narooma Inlet when all of a sudden they saw this vessel approaching from the Montague Island Adventure Tours Company. Now, Graham was later quoted saying, as the vessel approached, he thought there was no way they were going out the inlet, and as soon as he realized they were making their approach, he grabbed his phone and started recording, and this is the madness that ensued as they tried to cross the bar. As they approached the heavier seas, at one point, as you're going to see as we come up, the boat's going to get vertical and they actually lose a passenger over the stern of the vessel. Now, fortunately, there were several surfers and bodyboarders in the area, and 5 of them quickly rushed to this passenger and are able to help him successfully get safely back to shore. But I'll tell you what, the captain on this one made a pretty poor call trying to carry a boat full of tourists out on a day like this. Our next story to make the boating news this week is going to take us over to the California coast, where last week powerful surf whipped up by a large storm system caused damage all along the coast. But also in Ventura Keys, it caused this singular event where a large massive tidal surge wave came rolling through one of the keys, causing damage to boats and docks, as can be seen in the images here. The Ventura Harbor Master John Higgins was interviewed afterwards, and he said it was quite an event. He saw some of the largest surf that he'd seen in 20 years. In fact, the harbor entrance was actually unpassable at the event's peak. But some of the heaviest damage in the area came in the images you see here during the singular tidal surge event. Many docks being broken free, several boats being damaged. In fact, Towboat and the harbor master claimed they had to move at least 15 boats into safer locations and spent the next several days trying to clean up the mess from the docks that broke free. Local officials are still trying to assess the full damage from this event, but currently they're estimating just in dock repairs alone to the residential docks along this channel, it's around $250,000. That's not including any damage to boats. Fortunately, in this situation, no pedestrians were injured, nobody was on the docks at the time of the event, which is a very fortunate outcome for an unexpected situation like this. Our next story to make the boating news this week is going to take us over to Italy, where this was the scene this past week at the largest container port in the country, Gio Toro, when an MSC container ship veered off course while maneuvering and wound up grounding on the southern breakwater at the port's entrance. The 1,114-foot container vessel MSC Elaine was departing the port on its way to Malta with the assistance of 2 tugs, when for unknown reasons it actually struck the breakwater, becoming stuck and blocking the entrance to the port, shutting down port operations for almost 24 hours. Italian officials are still investigating the event, trying to determine the actual cause of why this happened. They have ruled out weather as a factor, as they said at the time of the incident, weather was clear with light winds around 6 knots. However, weather did pick up later in the day, which actually helped free this vessel. Winds picked up to 25 knots, assisting in pushing this vessel back off the breakwater. Fortunately, initial reports showed no visible leaks to the vessel and no signs of serious damage, and no injuries were reported during the incident. Our next story to make the boating news this week is going to take us over to Spain, where this was the scene last week in Marbella when the fire broke out at Marina Marbella. The images here show the warehouse in the background that actually contained over 80 boats that caught fire. The dramatic blaze, whose cause is still unknown, even though local reports right now are claiming it's possibly from a random spark, caused major concern with local citizens, as apparently one of these buildings also housed a recycling point for flammable substances, causing concerns of a possible large explosion, helping the fire to spread. Fortunately, local fire officials were quickly able to get on the scene and get the blaze under control and keep it concentrated in the area where the blaze broke out, preventing it from spreading to any other facilities and any of the boats that were moored in the harbor. Fortunately, in this situation, no injuries were reported at the scene, and currently it's still under investigation to try and determine the full cause of the blaze. At this time, the 80 boats that were inside the building are estimated to be a total loss. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of Boating News of the Week. If you ever see anything crazy happening on your waterways, be sure to hit us up on Facebook or Instagram and let us know, and you might see your stories over here. Just like Graham Martin, Dave Clark, Eric Huff, Bill Matson, Nellie Rose, Rob Perlow, Eric Buteralt, and Chris Alford did this week. And if you guys haven't already, go ahead and drop an anchor on the subscribe button here.